Welcome to the Measure Success podcast, where we talk with top leaders about effective strategies that inspire success. As your host, Carl J. Cox. This episode is brought to you by 40 Accounting. 40 Accounting is built to help small to mid-sized businesses actually understand their numbers, from helping out with bookkeeping, financial reporting and analysis, even your taxes. If you want to learn more, go to 40accounting.com. Really excited to have with us today, Rich Dunbar, CEO and founder of Bottom Up Consulting, a Halifax-based firm specializing in business strategy, leadership development, and organizational innovation. With an MBA, MP certification, good for you, by the way, and nearly 20 years of service in the Canadian Armed Forces, he brings a wealth of project management, which is so needed in organization days, as well as learning how to do transformational leadership. He has a great book called Bottom Up Breakthrough, which is recently he'll talk about it just as up for an award. He's a finalist in an award he just learned about. And he's definitely committed to helping out not only with the community and mental health advocacy. He donates all proceeds from the book to support veterans and first responders. Rich, welcome to the Measure Success podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here today and to share a little bit about my work. Thanks, Carl.
You bet. So for those who, obviously we just shared with the basic bio. For those who haven't heard about you, give your kind of your little spiel about how you make a difference in the world and how you're helping out your clients doing what they do.
Not a problem. So for my consulting firm, what we do is we look at reorganizing a organization. I specialize in nonprofits, but also for-profit. And what we do is we do an inventory checklist of all of the different resources that the organization has. And instead of bringing on new resources, we look to tool the organization to leverage bottom-up communication, leveraging what they already have. So essentially, we develop a plan that is as close to no cost to implement as possible, or at least aside from my service. But the idea is to really empower the people of the organization and to basically make sure that it's not a strictly top-down organization, and to make sure that the members from the bottom, middle, and top are all involved in a collaborative decision-making process so that they can feel agency within the organization.
And that is uncommon, right? That is not typically how the way things are done. I mean, I get to admit, most of my work is done from the top, working with the CEO and then the leadership team, and then it follows through. So that's a different approach, right? That's commonly used. And so when people are going through that bottoms up, right, approach, when you talk to a CEO of a company and they're like, okay, we're gonna head towards this thing, what's their reaction to doing something like that?
I would almost say more often than not, there's a hint of fear, because there's a sense of loss, or a sense of loss of control. So when you open up to these ideas to really empower people, it can be scary because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to come from the employees. But even in small organizations, let's say less than 20 employees, there's often a large disconnect between the people that are actually doing the work and the executive director.
Yeah, huge, right? The data, it's a massive, like I've seen a tremendous amount of data that proves exactly what you said there, where there's typically a massive disconnect, right, between the CEO. And as I said, even in small organizations, it's like, don't you know what I'm actually working on? So when you start driving this towards execution and you have this fear from the CEO, how do you help bridge that gap where they start getting confidence that this is a good approach for them?
Basically, I'll walk them through a set of common risks and really just what to expect in the process. I mean, there isn't much in terms of risk. A lot of it is just unfounded assumptions, let's say. So people are worried that by leveraging bottom-up communication, you may lose some part of control of the organization. But really, what you're doing is enabling transparency, because a lot of the time, a lot of decisions, and I have plenty of examples where people will make decisions at the top for the people at the bottom, thinking and it comes from a great place. But unfortunately, a lot of the time, there's no collaboration with the people at the bottom. So the end product that they get doesn't quite work. Also, this is another thing that I come across quite often, is these products that are meant to help the frontline workers are often follow what's called a waterfall methodology. So basically a very phased approach. So the executive director is very thoughtful, the command team is very thoughtful, and thinking about how they want to help the people at the bottom, how they want to help the people doing the work. and it's a very phased approach that takes time. But unfortunately, without that collaboration with the people that are supposed to use the product, and because waterfall methodology in itself, it's a slow phased approach, it doesn't always work. So we like to switch, or my favorite approach is agile, which was originally developed for computer programming. But I mean, you can take what works, toss the rest away. And I find that with agile, it allows you to be very iterative, focus on a lot of feedback loops or learning loops, so that when you involve the people at the bottom, you can get new insights that you might not have thought of before. And then you can roll out that initial product that was supposed to help them, let's say a Gen 1, weeks or months earlier than than what you would have done with a waterfall methodology. But then you build it out through user input or user experience. And then as you do that, you're building agency, you're giving people, you're letting them feel heard within the organization. And that's powerful.
Yeah, for sure. No, somebody who's been involved, I've been involved in lean manufacturing implementations, and really it uses a bottom up. When done properly, it uses a bottom up type approach, right? Because you want to get at the operator level when somebody's actually doing something, how can they feel empowered to help make those changes behind it? And what's really fun is when without saying, when you start seeing that reward, when an employee or frontline worker has a breakthrough result, what's the benefits of that?
So the benefits are multifold, let's say. So the very first thing is you've just increased your recruitment and retention efforts simultaneously. So you've increased agency within that one individual to start with. Now he or she is talking to their peers, and now they're getting excited about this. Like when you really empower innovation within an organization, or just empower the people doing the work, you're really tapping into that transformational leadership. And by doing that, it really alleviates burnout. So a lot of people right now, because in almost every organization, we're constantly doing more with less, or we go through a reorg and then we do more with less. And at some point, you basically have to let the people that are doing the work know, hey, I hear you. And then when you involve them, it's like, okay, now my recruitment's going up. I'm getting referrals to the organization. People are staying longer. Their job satisfaction is better. You open up a door to transparency throughout the entire organization. So now when you're making big changes, everyone knows and they're involved in the process. There's no need for, depending on the organization, but for the most part, a lot of the things that are typically kept from those frontline workers, there's no need to do that. Like you can really pull off the veil. You can let the organization be almost fully transparent. And when you do that, people know the why. It's like, okay, well, why are these decisions being made? Why wasn't I involved? Why do I need to be involved? And it's just, when you let people know why they're doing something, that alone can be powerful as well.
Right. Indeed. What I'm kind of curious for you, as you've gotten the book out there and you said you're getting ready. Well, how about this for those who haven't heard about it, your book award? Tell us for the audience what type of award that you're recently up to. And I know you're getting ready to fly somewhere here soon to potentially get an award.
Okay, so it's an International Impact Award. What it is basically it's for the business, startup, and innovation category, because that's essentially what it is. And what I did is I had, throughout the book, I talk about a process where the book itself is really an MVP as well, minimum viable product, and I built it out through feedback. But it starts with my journey at National Defense Headquarters in Canada. And then it moves to, as I transitioned to a place that didn't have that. So when I was in NDHQ, I was helping to manage innovation for the entire Royal Canadian Air Force. And then when I moved to a different coast or a different base, let's say, we didn't have that program in place. So I started noticing a lot of little things where people would be constantly mentioning things that they were aware of but couldn't change. And this would go on a daily basis. And it was a little disheartening at first. So then what I decided to do was implement a program where I would give people agency over the things they can change. So I'd kind of flip the script. So instead of saying, oh, well, we have a supply issue that everyone knows about and everyone talks about on a daily basis. Well, we can't change that. But what can we change and what can we focus on to make everyone's lives better? So when we started moving away from the things that we couldn't change into the things that we could, it really was groundbreaking in itself. And then the book came from the fact that, hey, if this works in a traditional hierarchy that's really top down, like a military, then it can pretty much work anywhere. And the fact that I did this with existing I was forced to innovate. So in Ottawa, we had a big budget. We had a lot of resources at our disposal. When I came to Shearwater, we had our ingenuity because we had to start everything from the bottom up. And luckily, there was a fantastic command team that was in place. They really bought into the concept. And then with their support to champion the initiative, the 12 Wing Innovation Team was formed, and then we just kind of went on. I think to date, we've had about 178 submissions to the innovation team. And each, like one of those submissions, for example, has the ability to save about $300,000 worth of work per year just by reducing the amount of man hours required for certain tasks. And when you apply that to a job site that has about 1,000 employees, the productivity really just goes up.
That's fantastic. So what are some practical steps that organizations can take to help encourage this bottom-up communication so every voice can be heard?
Well, there are different tools that are out there right now. One of the easiest ways to do this is to use, let's say, for example, Microsoft Form, or even like a free form. And what you can do is you want to basically use something in project management. We call them information radiators. It's like a traditional billboard, let's say, that you put up everywhere so people can kind of see where you're at. Well, I took that idea and I modified it a little bit, where now we have innovation posters up, for example, all over the wing. So in each different workplace, and they have a QR code. So basically, you just have to scan the QR code with your phone, and it takes you right to a innovation portal, let's say. All you have to do is answer a few questions, and then it sends an email to the innovation team. We build a site for the idea. After that, we get in contact with you. We tee you up with a more senior person within the organization. That person will work with you to build out your idea. When you're ready, you'll pitch that idea to what I call an approving authority. So it could be a commanding officer, the wing commander, basically someone who has the resources and the ability to approve an idea. And then after that, they work on that idea together. So it's not really about, it's not that suggestion box where, like I mentioned before, everyone has a lot of work on their plate. So it's not like, okay, I'm going to submit this idea and then just hope that someone else is going to take it and run with it. No. When you submit your idea, that's just a first step. And now you yourself will build out that idea with someone with more experience. And really what you're going to do is a root cause analysis. So we kind of work as a supportive PMO office or project management office, where we give you the tools that you need to build out that idea and to address the root cause itself. Because oftentimes people will try to come up with an idea that solves a symptom of a root cause, but not the root cause. And then by really nailing that down to the root, you can work wonders, and it just makes sure that you're putting your resources in the right place.
Yeah, fantastic. I think that's so. If you could give like an example, give us an example of like another like a real world example from like you used from the book where a small process change, it really had a significant major improvement in an organization.
Okay, so to start with, these programs are fantastic when they're first coming off the ground. So one of the easiest ones was for recognition. So we found that one of the senior individuals, and MWO Hatfield, had submitted an idea. And the idea was great because it said he had mentioned that, hey, we need more awards for technicians. We need specific technician-based awards so that we can give out these, we can recognize our people and the hard work that they do. So that went through the process, and I worked with the member on that. But then it turned out that we have a lot of awards, but the problem wasn't the fact that we're lacking awards. It was that people don't have information on them. People don't know where to go to get them, how to apply for it, or just where the information is. So then we did a quick audit, and we found that a lot of the information on these awards was outdated, and there was only one spot to actually find all of the information, but it was tucked away in an annex in someone's SharePoint drive. So what we did is we kind of mirrored the system with that we did with the 12 Wing Innovation Program, Same thing, QR code, and we made it one step. So now you take a picture, a simple form comes up. Who do you want to nominate? What are you nominating them for? Who are you? The second you submit that, it would go to the wing commander's assistant, and then they would get back to you and say, okay, thank you for your submission. Now you need to submit this, this, and this as follow-up documents for the award. And so it wasn't that we needed more awards. It's just we needed to change the initiation process and making it so that people could see where the awards were and the access to them. So it was kind of like this access to information. It just wasn't there, and we kind of had to redo the process. So just by modifying the initial first few steps of the process, we were able to get a lot more recognition for people that deserved it.
Good. Great example. I appreciate you sharing that. So how would you measure the success of bottom-up initiatives, and what metrics matter most when doing that?
One of the best ways to measure success of these initiatives is buy-in into the program. And it's not just, so these types of initiatives have to start with top-down buy-in. You need the command team, whoever that may be, if it's the CEO, if it's an executive director, if it's a military commander, you need that buy-in from the command team first. But after that, the biggest indicator of success with this program is buy-in from the bottom. So when you start seeing people use the program, and when you start seeing an uptick of innovative suggestions, if you will, or idea submissions, that's when you know that people are believing in the program and that it's working.
That's good. That's good. That's really good. So what advice would you give to leaders who are tired of hearing, hey, this is how we've always done it, and they want to start making a change today?
That's dangerous, because it's like, I have heard that many, many times. And it's people that have that traditional mindset. Like, there's a lot that's going on in their organization that they may not be aware of. So one of the best things to do is to send out a feeler. Like, so before the program even starts, the best thing that you can do is actually send out a survey. And I know, like, some people are surveyed to death, so to speak, at various organizations, because a lot of surveys do come out, but it all depends on what you do with it. So for the people that have said, this is how we all have always done things, I would suggest a personalized survey to kind of get your pulse on the innovation heartbeat, if you will, of that organization, just to see how everyone else feels about that. Because there's a lot of wasted effort, but like innovation, not everyone is on board, and a lot of people think it's a lot of work. But it doesn't have to be, because you can really use it for professional development. You can use it to really build out your workforce, to upskill your workforce. And it doesn't have to be, the traditional innovation is actually top down, because if someone puts a nice idea in a suggestion box, well, guess what? It's going to cost money, and it's going to be the command team that's going to either foot the bill or have to find a way to do it. And then that can lead to burnout at the top, which again isn't good either. So by really empowering those people at the bottom, it does help quite a bit. And then just back to your question, the leaders that do say, well, this is how we've always done it, I would highly recommend a informal survey that goes out to their workforce, just to see what their thoughts are on the heartbeat of innovation within that organization. And I think that particular leader may be surprised by the responses that they get.
That's excellent. One of the things I love that you're doing is you're donating proceeds from your book to help support mental health for veterans and first responders. Why is this cause important to you?
I've been in the military for about 20 years now, and I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of growth. The military that I'm in now definitely isn't the military that I joined, but the amount of progress that I'm seeing and the progressive nature of the force in general, it's amazing. And it's really uplifting to see the development of personnel within an organization, and to give those people agency where maybe 10 or 20 years ago they might not have had that chance to have that agency. And so it's really rewarding to be a part of this movement of change, or this grassroots initiative from the bottom up.
Fantastic. So for today, when you're, whether somebody's reading your book or maybe you're working with your own clients, how do you measure success with your book, or perhaps when working with a business or even with the armed forces today?
Well, I guess how I measure success is basically just someone telling me they like the book. The idea is that the book itself is a blueprint. I took everything that myself and the team that I had at 12 Wing, everything that I've learned has basically been distilled into a very easy to implement blueprint for the book. It's not, I don't necessarily want to, like, I want everyone to innovate and I want to help everyone and I want to give everyone agency. So that's why I put it all in the book. It's just out there. But then for my consulting firm, that if someone or if a leader out there does need particular help in setting up the concepts that I speak of in the book, then yeah, I have no problem helping them out. Like you mentioned, all of the proceeds from the book are donated to veterans' mental health because I think that is so important. And I think that it is a field of health that has went it's just something that we didn't speak of for a very long time. But in Canada, I can say this, that it's very much on the forefront. Mental health does matter. One of the recent innovative suggestions that we had through our program was to have a mental health day. And we actually, we did one, we set one up and it was a resounding success. So just having different mental health professionals come in and then just explain various options that people may have. There's no real guide to mental health or how to protect your mental health without actually talking to mental health professionals, so to speak, right now. And in fact, mental health isn't really something that we teach in school. It's just something that it's that elephant in the room where we know it exists, but it's not going to happen to me, so I don't have to worry about it, right? Until it happens to you. And then as we all age, like I'm not getting any younger myself, you start to notice these things. And a lot of times mental health can kind of sneak up on you where it's not so much a singular event. It can be, but it's more 1,000 small events that really don't go away and they all pile on. And then at the end of a 20-year career, it can be overwhelming. So it's just giving the people the tools that they need to kind of relieve that stress. And it helps. So like I said, I love empowering people and then just helping in a way that I can. So I feel that the military has given me a lot. So kind of donating the proceeds and helping those people that need it the most is something that is very dear to me.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. Obviously, we recommend people to order bottom up consulting from your perspective, but what is a book that's really inspired you?
There's a few of them. I think my favorite book that really inspired me, and it's kind of a not think outside of the box, but expand your box type of book, and it's Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. And I really enjoy this. I really enjoyed his methodology throughout the book, where he started as a learning how to be a monk, how to do his vows, and but it wasn't just that. He started as a normal teenager, if you will, in any culture, and then just the trials and adversity that a normal teen going into early adulthood would have, he decided that, hey, I'm going to be a monk. And then years after, maybe this isn't for me. But then the lessons that he took and are just, I find, very humbling. And it's just, for me, when I think of a monk personally, I would think of someone that is beyond reproach, someone that their level of ethics or self-actualization is just at its apex, right? And then when you hear it from Jay, it's just people trying to get along, people trying to live just a different version of humanity. Everyone's trying their best. But I mean, at the end, if you're a monk in the ashram or if you're a CEO, we're all just human trying to make it by day to day, right?
Absolutely. Rich, how can people connect and learn more about what you're doing?
They can connect by just reaching out. I have bottomup.ca or bottom-up.ca. They can reach out and send me a message. My contact information is on there. It's also on Bottom Up Breakthrough. I threw it in at the back, so if anyone wants to order the book or the ebook or the audiobook, it's all in the back of the book as well. And yeah, I'm available. Anyone that has any information on this, and it's not just. The other thing that's interesting about my organization is it's not just, yeah, hire us and we'll help you, like we'll give you money, or sorry, we'll take your money and we'll come up with a plan for you. No, it's we'll do a discovery call and maybe you're not the best fit for us. Maybe we're not the best fit for you. And we just want to discuss like who your organization's with, and that's free, right? So it's like anyone that wants to get any idea on the book, I'm more than willing to talk to them on a one-on-one basis for about 30 minutes and just really elaborate on what type of organization they have, what the tools and resources are that my organization offers, and to just see if there's something that can work for both parties to be beneficial. Because the idea isn't to reinvent the wheel, it's to just empower the organization and everyone in it.
Rich, I really think it's a great book that you've created and developed. I think it's an awesome concept that you've done. It's not the typical approach, but the results once again can be amazing when you actually do this so well. And of course, you're caring about in terms of helping out with mental health for first responders and veterans. I think that's absolutely fantastic. Rich, thank you so much for being a guest on the Measure Success podcast today.
Well, thank you so much, Carl. I really appreciate you having me here today.
Absolutely. And anyone else who's listening, one of the reasons we continue to get great guests like Rich is because of your support. I encourage you to, first of all, follow up with Rich, learn about his book, get his information, go to his website. That's number one. Two, we just thank you if you'd rate the show. That's how we continue to grow guests and continue to have people to request to be on the podcast. As we always like to say, wishing you the very best and measuring your success. Have a great day.
Thank you.